Welcome back. The word connect has so many meanings in so many different contextual situations. That being said, it occurs to me this morning that the most basic and most important definition of the word connect is what happens, we hope, between human beings, and it is also the name of an organization that is so very important to those of us here in Park City and in Summit County who need the help of others and need to connect. I'm pleased to be joined by the director of Connect Summit County, Shauna Wiest. Good morning.
Good morning, Terry.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
Yes.
I want to start off by saying thank you for all you do for people in our community.
You're welcome.
This issue of mental health in May, Mental Health Month, I'm optimistic that we are talking about it more, and that this morning I'm fortunate to have a conversation with someone who has dedicated so much of their life to the mental health of others and being organized and scaling the ways in which to do that.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Talk about the organization and talk about this very important month on the calendar for your organization.
I will. Well, Connect was formed 2 years ago, largely due to parents of children who were suffering from mental illness here in Summit County who simply could not find resources for their children. And in fact, at the same time, the Summit County Health Department issued a survey to residents of Summit County on behavioral health, and that survey revealed that many people would not know where to go if they had a mental health challenge. So so it was kind of a very good collision. And our first May Mental Health Awareness Month was in 2016, where we started creating awareness and getting people to talk about mental health, to normalize the conversation. And it was a good year in 2016, but now here we are 2018, and we even have an even more robust set of events. We're drawing more audiences, and people are starting to talk about mental health, and they are seeking help for their loved ones who are sick. We are reducing the stigma around mental health, and that is great.
And that word, stigma, such a powerful word, but also one that feels like a gateway, as you say, as people start to talk. And I think one of the things that I've noticed is that in conversations, I hear people use I. And that feels like a breakthrough. It
is a breakthrough. Our mission is to create a well-informed and stigma-free community with access to mental health services in Summit County. And that alleviation of stigma is so important. And just to move on to May Mental Health Awareness Month, that stigma is so emblematic of the speaker we're having this evening at the Jim Santee Auditorium at 6:30 p.m. We're inviting Shamiqua Holdsclaw. And if you watched basketball in the late 1990s, you know who Shamiqua was. She was coached under Pat Summit of the University of Tennessee.
Greatest coach in the history of women's college basketball.
And so sad that she now has dementia, Alzheimer's.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah,
Very
really
sad.
Too bad. But she saw Shamiqua and said she was the greatest player that she ever saw. So she led the Lady Volunteers to 3 victories. Then she was the first draft pick of the WNBA in 1999. Then she went on, Shamiqua, to the Sydney Olympics in 2000 and led the USA team to an Olympic gold medal. Quite amazing. But all that time, Shamiqua was suffering with mental health challenges, significant bipolar and depression. And she just felt, as an athlete, the stigma of speaking out when you're supposed to be strong. Powerful athletes like her aren't supposed to talk about it. And the last couple of years, she said, you know what? I'm going to start talking about this. I'm going to normalize the conversation around mental health, that it's okay. And so we invited her here in concert with her film Mind Game, which chronicles the life of Shamiqua Holdsclaw, from athlete to her mental health challenges to where she is today. So we're partnering with the Park City Film Series, and that will be tonight at 6:30 p.m. at the Jim Santee Santi Auditorium. So there's a great example of alleviating stigma.
And as you say, and what a fantastic story, it is emblematic, it seems to me, the change in, this is a powerful person with great respect. People look up to her for her accomplishments, and I recall that she was always a class act.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, so you take this person who, in an earlier phase of her life, was frightened to speak openly about the challenges that she had, even though she had a huge platform at that time, but the context was very different. And so even someone like that couldn't speak.
She couldn't. And what's interesting about her story too is that she had childhood trauma. Her parents were alcoholics, and she was raised by her loving grandmother, and she loved her grandmother. But it just goes to show you that those feelings can carry with you, you know, through your life, and you never know when they're going to surface.
Yes.
And you kind of have to reconcile them. So I love her story. I love what she's going to share with us. This movie is fantastic. So I encourage people to come out.
Jim Santi, 6:30.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And what else are you planning for the balance of the month?
Do you have about a day so I can tell you?
Oh,
No,
I
I'm
love
I'm
it.
joking.
I love it. That's
We have
great.
so much. This coming Tuesday, May 22nd, we have a play. We have a play about Alzheimer's caregivers. It's called Portrait of a Caregiver, and it's going to be at noon at the Jim Santi Auditorium. Lunch will be provided.
Oh, wow.
And it's a story from actual caregivers of patients with Alzheimer's. And they talk about the struggles that they go through and what it's like to care for someone with Alzheimer's. And what's so special about this event is that we're going to then have Cheryl Bagshaw, who I call the Alzheimer's Whisperer. She's amazing. She's going to moderate the event and talk about it. And then Tuesday night, May 22nd, at the hospital at 6:30 p.m., we are having an amazing neuroscientist from Canada. Her name is Nicole Sharon, and she's going to tell us about the brain story. And we're actually going to play a game called the Brain Architecture Game that was funded by the Palix Foundation. And this game shows us why some people are more vulnerable to mental illness and addiction, and what communities can do with that understanding to change the way they view mental health and operationalize it for the community in terms of law enforcement, local government, education, that sort of thing. And then next Thursday night, we're having a wonderful movie. It won the Academy Award for Best Documentary in 2018. Heaven is a Traffic Jam on the 405. And it's a story of this artist who suffers from extreme mental illness. And well, if she's on the 405, because you're from LA too, that can make you a little crazy.
That's an evocative image.
It is.
Sure.
I love that image, but it's a truly amazing documentary about this woman's life, but how it manifests through her art. So she channels that illness through her art, and she has some amazing discoveries. She has a really good relationship with her psychiatrist. She actually does a sculpture of him. But at that event, we are going to have Dr. Melissa Lopez Larson as a panelist. She's a psychiatrist here in Summit County. And we're going to also have therapist Ida Yokid, who's an art therapist here in Summit County from Expressive Therapies Utah. So she is going to speak at the event. And then we follow up the following week with 2 more events before we conclude. We have an event called Dying to be Thin on May 30th. It's an eating disorder movie, but we're going to have therapists and a survivor, Sloan Pittman, who's very well known here in Park City, at that event. And then we wrap up on May 31st with the University of Utah Research Showcase. Everything from what's going on with genetics and mental health to opioids to depression. And that's going to be at 6:30 p.m. at the Kimball Junction Library. I've said a lot this morning. You don't have to memorize it. We have these wonderful brochures for May Mental Health Awareness Month all around town. You can also go to our website at connectsummitcounty.org, and right when you go to the website, the calendar of events is right there. So you can, if anything I've said today has interested you, you can just go to the website and check it out.
Shauna, you're A+.
Oh, you're so
amazing.
nice. Thank you.
You nailed it. You're into your subject, into your organization,
Thank
and
you.
that was just a lovely sharing of these really compelling events.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here
Oh,
this morning.
thank you so much.
And thank you on behalf of all of us for everything that you do
You're
for
welcome,
our
Terry.
citizens of Summit County.
It's an honor.
It's lovely to meet you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you, Terry.
Make sure to include Connect in your plans for the rest of the month. When you see Shauna, say hello and thank her for all that she does for Summit County. We'll take a break. Lumi after this.